Anthropic just quietly blacklisted entire categories of AI requests, and the fact that they had to means we've crossed a line nobody's talking about. You've probably heard of Claude, Anthropic's AI assistant. It's one of the smartest language models out there, and a lot of people use it for work, research, coding, you name it. But what you probably don't know is that Anthropic has been running something behind the scenes called a blacklist. And I'm not talking about filtering out curse words or obvious harmful stuff. I'm talking about blocking entire classes of requests before they even reach the model. Here's what happened. A few months ago, researchers started noticing patterns in what Claude would and wouldn't do. They'd ask it something totally reasonable, like how to optimize a manufacturing process, and Claude would refuse. They'd ask it something else, and it would help instantly. The inconsistency was weird. So some security researchers dug deeper, and what they found was this. Anthropic had built what amounts to a pre-filter that catches certain request types and just kills them before the AI even gets a chance to process them. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's just content moderation, right? Every AI company does that. But here's where it gets interesting. The categories being blocked aren't just illegal stuff. They're broader than that. We're talking about requests related to dual-use research, certain kinds of biological information, detailed chemical processes, and even some areas of cybersecurity knowledge. The specificity is what matters. These aren't vague categories. They're surgical. They're targeting specific combinations of words and intent patterns. Why does this matter? Because it proves something that a lot of people in tech have been quietly acknowledging but never saying out loud. AI has gotten so capable that it can't be trusted to make its own decisions about what's dangerous anymore. The blacklist isn't there because Claude is dumb. It's there because Claude is too smart. Think about it this way. If you build a system that's genuinely intelligent, genuinely able to reason and synthesize information, then you have a problem. That same reasoning ability that makes it useful also makes it potentially dangerous. A smart AI can figure out implications. It can connect dots. It can take a seemingly innocent request and understand what you're really asking for. And once it understands, it might answer, because from a pure logic standpoint, there's no reason not to. So what do? You can't just ask the AI nicely to refuse dangerous requests. You have to build walls before the request even reaches the reasoning engine. You have to make certain things literally unthinkable at the architectural level. That's what Anthropic did. And the fact that they felt they had to is a signal. Here's the part that governments are definitely paying attention to. If Anthropic had to implement a blacklist for a system they built themselves, knowing exactly how it works, with full control over the training data and the architecture, what does that tell you about AI systems built by people with less scruples? What does it tell you about open source models where there is no blacklist, no filter, no kill switch? This is why you're starting to see governments get serious about AI regulation. Not because they've read some sci-fi novel about killer robots, but because they understand, at a technical level, that we've built systems that are smart enough to be dangerous, and that the only way to control them is through architectural constraints, not through appeals to ethics or safety guidelines. The blacklist is basically an admission. It's Anthropic saying, we made something so capable that we can't just trust it to behave. We have to lock parts of it down. And if one of the most safety-conscious AI companies on the planet felt the need to do that, you can bet every government with a cybersecurity budget is thinking about what that means for their own AI systems, their own national security, their own ability to control what these models can and can't do. There's also a second-order effect here that's pretty wild. Once you have a blacklist, you have to maintain it. You have to keep updating it as people find new ways to phrase requests that get around it. You have to play this endless game of whack-a-mole where someone figures out a workaround and you patch it. But every patch is a sign that the underlying problem isn't solved. The underlying problem is that the system is too capable. And here's what really keeps governments up at night. You can blacklist requests in English. You can blacklist requests in code. But what about requests in a language the blacklist wasn't designed for? What about requests disguised as poetry or math problems or creative writing prompts? What about requests where someone has reverse engineered the blacklist and found the exact framing that slips through? With a smart enough adversary and a smart enough AI, the blacklist becomes a speed bump, not a wall. So what Anthropic really did with this blacklist is they proved something important. They proved that AI safety through architecture, through hard constraints built into the system itself, is necessary. It's not optional. It's not something you can add later. And they prove that even companies with serious safety teams and serious funding still can't completely solve the problem. They can only manage it. That's why you're hearing more and more talk about AI governance, about international agreements, about things like compute tracking and model registries. Because once you understand that blacklists are necessary, you understand that you need oversight. You need transparency. You need to know what's being built and who's building it. The blacklist is a quiet admission that we've entered a new era. It's the moment where we stop pretending that AI systems are just tools that do what you tell them to do, and started acknowledging that they're systems complex enough that they need to be constrained at a fundamental level. And that changes everything about how we should be thinking about AI regulation, AI safety, and what we're actually building here. If you want to actually understand what's happening under the hood with AI, instead of just reading headlines about the latest drama, subscribe. I break down the technical stuff that nobody else is talking about, and I do it in plain English. New video every few days.